Hello everyone, my name is Alexander Rodriguez and I would like to introduce to you the MIMC project, which is Minorities Inspiring Minorities in Computer Science. It's a very exciting project in which I had the chance to collaborate with Juan C. Diaz as my partner, Dr. Mark Finlayson as my mentor and project manager, and Dr. Masad Tahadi as my instructor. The problem we are trying to solve is there has been research conducted that shows that the lack of role models in computer science is a hurdle for many young minorities when they are thinking about their potential in being a computer scientist. We plan to solve this by conducting a series of workshops around Miami-Dade public schools, specifically 6th graders, which will allow students to participate in interactive web activities that will expose them to role models in computer science. Now for system deployment, we have developed the application with the following specifications. I also want to mention that the workshop will be using Dell Chromebook 11-3180s and will deploy the web application in a setting of 30 students, with the admin possibly using another laptop. We continue to use the same backend and front applications that were done in 1.0. However, we had to reintegrate the project with MySQL instead. The requirements for this version of MIMC included features that were needed in the activity, such as going back to previous activities, an outline of completed activities with the student, restricting students from activities, logging out students automatically, submission of stories, a thank you page when students are finished with all given activities, and a machine ID of each user. We also had to augment some admin controls such as viewing student progression through activities, exporting user stories in a CSV file, import a list of users from a CSV file, adjusting the display for the story activity, view user stories in a pop-up for quick viewing, and adjusting the positions of buttons of all activities. For system design, we followed the same architecture as version 1.0, but made a few modifications regarding the adding controllers such as the submit story controller, and modified the session controller, which is responsible for logging out users automatically. We also modified front-end controllers, which were responsible for the admin and navigation functionality. The backend controller in this design allowed us to access the database using the repository design pattern, which helped us create repository objects for sessions, users, stories, and activity objects. We illustrate in red highlight some of the functionality that were added to several classes. Changes were mainly due to the fact that new parameters were needed for implementation of activity and user functionality. All in all, the majority of development time was dedicated in adding functionality to the admin, which included view users that are logged in, kicking out users, blocking activities, disabling activities, viewing student progress, exporting user stories, importing a list of users, and viewing user stories in a pop-up. The rest of the development cycle was in charge of the submission of stories, going to previous activities, and viewing an outline of activities. A scheduled service was added to remove old sessions for every 15 minutes from the database, which in other words is logging out non-active users. Another key backend functionality that was added was the admin not being able to log in with a student concurrently. This development cycle was reliant on the previous architecture that was set in place in version 1.0. Both front-end and back-end functionality was added for a more immersive and controlled version 2.0 that went hand in hand with the previous architecture. Any questions about the project, feel free to contact us by email, and thank you very much for watching my introduction video for the MIMC project.